Yo, what is going on, everyone? Thank you for checking out the channel today. Today we are going to be going over some of the new decks coming out in the Shrouded Fable format. With Shrouded Fable being a mini set, there's not really a lot of new shakeups that are going to be coming to the format. However, we do have a couple new archetypes, a couple new iterations of some old favorites, and just all around a bunch of new things to experiment with. So before we dive into today's deck list, remember that if you do enjoy this kind of content, to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and go ahead and leave me a comment down below what deck you're going to be trying from Shrouded Fable first. And with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the decks. So first up, we're going to go with, my kind of pet deck. I don't see this deck being successful, really, but there was like some kind of incidental synergy that I noticed when I was looking at some of the new cards, and this was an idea that popped into my head, so I thought I might make a list for it. So the idea here is to play the new Kingdra EX and to take advantage of its Hydro Pump attack, which does 50 plus 50 more for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. Now normally, the only way that we have to get a lot of energy in play is through something like Excalibur, and I wasn't a big fan of trying to set up multiple stage 2 water Pokemon. You do have access to Kingdra's first attack, which can let you put 3 water Pokemon from your discard onto your bench. However, I thought it might be kind of difficult to set up the Kingdra and get the Pokemon in the discard and then find the energies afterwards. So I decided to go a different route and take advantage of the fact that Kingdra can evolve from this Seadra that has Swim Freely. Now the only reason that this is relevant is because of this Finneon. This Finneon does have the Oceanic accompaniment, which says basically it's just Rain Dance for Swim Freely Pokemon. So because of the fact that we do have access to the Seadra, means that if the Seadra is in play, we can use Finneon to accelerate energies to it, then evolve it into Kingdra, and now we have a big hitting stage 2 EX. So to take advantage of this, I have built a going second TM Evolution Arven build, so that way we can go second, get access to Horses through Artisan, Poffin, and Nest Ball, and then hopefully we can find a TM Evolution with an energy, get a couple Seadras in play, and then next turn we can put a Finneon down, accelerate a bunch of energies to the Seadras, and then evolve them into Kingdras. And then we do have the Palkia in here as like a failsafe. It's a backup attacker, but it is also more energy acceleration with its Star Portal V-Star power. And then we do have Radiant Greninja in here. This is a good target for the Palkia's V-Star power in some matchups. And then other than that, we just have standard consistency. As the format progresses, if this deck sees some evolutions based off of maybe it has too much consistency, or maybe it just needs some other things, I could see the list changing up. But as of right now, this is the starting list that I have made. Up next is kind of a cool looking deck, but a deck that probably has its own unique struggles. This is basically Turbo Lost Box Sableye, and the idea here is to pair Dusclops with that Cursed Bomb ability, which lets you knock it out, put 5 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon, and you're combining this with Lost City, which does say when a Pokemon is knocked out, you put all Pokemon that were knocked out into the Lost Zone. So this actually does count for both Dusclops and Duskull. So if you get 3 Dusclops in play, pop them all with a Lost City in play, then you now have 6 additional cards on the Lost Zone, so you can really turbo to 10 and start using Stabilized Lost Mine in conjunction with the additional damage counters that you were putting into play with Dusclops. You can have some really nasty turns. However, this deck does struggle against like big basic Pokemon, and if you don't find your Dusclops, you really can be kind of dead in the water. So I see this deck being kind of fun, but I don't really see it being super competitive. In the right meta, it definitely can be very strong though. Up next, we have one of the brand new archetypes, being the Loyal 3. This build focuses on Monkey Dory with Okidogi as a backup attacker. So the Monkey Dory does 190 for 3, and then has the ability that says if you have a Pecharunt on your bench, then when he is knocked out, your opponent takes 1 less prize. So you're basically doing consistent 2 shots, even potential 1 shots, and you are only giving up 1 prize. However, we do have the Okidogi to help us do some big damage. For 3 energy, it does 130, and then if he is poisoned, it does an additional 130, so it's 260. And then with something like the Mochi, you will be doing 300. So this can be like, you know, the big bomb that we used to take care of some problematic Pokemon. And then the last of the loyal 3 that we are only playing one of is Fezandipity. It is in here for its ability that says when one of your Pokemon was knocked out during the last turn, you can draw 3 additional cards. And then to round out the loyal 3, we have their, you know, kind of commander. We have the Petron EX, has that really cool chain of command ability, which says you can basically use it to switch your active with a benched dark Pokemon, and then the new dark Pokemon that is the active is going to be poisoned. So this is a way to trigger the Okidogi's additional damage. And then it does have an attack for 2 dark energies. It does 60 times the amount of prizes your opponent has taken. So this can be a really good finisher for the late game. Other than that, relatively standard list. We do have the new Janine in here, which is basically like sort of a reverse Sada's Vitality. So this lets you accelerate dark energies from the deck rather than from the discard. But you don't get the draw. However, you do get to poison your active if you attach any energies to it. So this is another way to trigger the Okidogi's additional effect. And then we are running Secret Box as the A-Spec just because we do have some powerful tools and stadiums in here. So overall, this is basically a pretty well-rounded deck. I could see it being very decent. It puts on a ton of pressure early. It has prize denial, big hitters, recovery, and late game potential, which is really all you're asking for in a competitive deck. And then next up on the list, we have a deck that doesn't get much from the new set, but what it does get is honestly pretty impactful. So we have Regidrago V-Star. Outside of a couple cards, this is a relatively standard list. The main card that this deck gets is Kyurem, which says that, you know, if your opponent has a Colress in its discard, then you can use his attack for 1 colorless. It's not really relevant, but if you do happen to go against like a Lost Box deck, you actually can just put this Kyurem into play and use Trifrost with Kyurem rather than copying it with Regidrago, which is its main purpose in here right now. It serves as a dragon type attacker that Regidrago can use for its Trifrost attack, which says it does 110 damage to 3 of your opponent's Pokemon, and then it discards all the energies from the Pokemon that is using the attack. So basically, this can be a big blowout card against evolving decks. So we are really trying to lean into that by playing things like Prime Catcher and Canceling Clone. So that way we can get something like a Manaphy into the active and then KO it along with like a couple Charmanders or some Raltses depending on the matchup. And then any other matchup, you know, we just have the big slew of attackers. And then finally, we have probably what is the most hyped deck coming out of the Shrouded Fable format, and that is Charizard Dusknoir. The reason why this deck is kind of interesting is because the Dusclops Dusknoir line does knock itself out, which gives your opponent a prize, which does mean that Charizard is doing more damage. So that, in conjunction with the damage you are placing with the Dusclops and Dusknoir, means you can get some surprise KOs out of nowhere, and you can help Charizard stabilize and become more aggressive in the mid game. So yeah, other than the Dusknoir, the list is relatively standard. We have swapped out the Dusknoir line, or the Bibarel line for the Dusknoir line, and we have increased, you know, the rare candies, and we've had to swap to the Charmander Pidgeys with more HP just because of things like Dragapult and Dusclops. Yeah, everyone is super excited for this deck. This deck is projected to be a standout performer in the upcoming World Championships, just because Zard is already naturally very good, and then it does get these new tools that give it access to a completely brand new line of play. Yeah, guys, with that being said, those are the decks that I am most looking forward to out of the Shrouded Fable format. And, you know, there are still several decks that I didn't even go over that do have a lot of potential with the new cards that we're getting. And then, you know, just in a month's time, we are going to be getting Stellar Crown as well. So the format will be shaken up again. Hey guys, with that all being said, remember that if you do enjoy this kind of content, to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, go ahead and leave me that comment down below, and I will see you in the next video.